The city of Louisville, Kentucky has agreed to pay the family of Breonna Taylor a record settlement of $12 million after cops fatally shot the 26-year-old in her own apartment in the middle of the night. The cops who showed up were entering with a no-knock warrant. They were plainclothes cops, and her boyfriend did fire a warning shot because he thought that there were intruders busting into his home. Unfortunately, that led to the cops opening fire, and Breonna Taylor was shot and killed. 5 of those bullets hit her, and she died in her own hallway. Now, this is based on a civil suit that Breonna Taylor's family filed against Louisville, Kentucky. This is separate from a possible criminal case that is being pursued. There will be a grand jury hearing on that. I'll give you more details in just a minute, but first let me just note that the settlement is the largest ever paid by Louisville police, dwarfing a previous $8.5 million payout to Edwin Chandler in 2012, who was wrongfully imprisoned for more than 9 years after Detective Mark Handy perjured himself. He also coerced Chandler into confessing in that case, and there was actual DNA evidence that helped to exonerate him, and luckily he was freed. But I bring that up because that deserved a large settlement, and he received 8.5 million. In the case of Breonna Taylor, her family has received or will receive 12 million. An amended complaint, by the way, when you look at the lawsuit, about 2 months later, additionally claimed Taylor's death was the result of Louisville police's effort to clear out a block for gentrification. And the newly formed place-based investigations unit consisted of rogue police who violated all levels of policy, protocol, and policing standards. Also, Taylor's family alleged in the suit that the warrant served to Taylor's or at Taylor's apartment was targeted at Jamarcus Glover, a convicted drug dealer that had been located by police at a drug house 10 miles away before the warrant was served on Taylor's residence. A warrant listed Taylor's name and address, but the main narcotics investigation was centered around Glover and co-defendants' alleged trafficking on Elliott Avenue in Louisville's Russell neighborhood. So Cenk, as we know, because we've talked about it several times on the show, there was a lie told to the judge in order to obtain that no-knock warrant. They claimed that the post office told the police in their investigation that there were suspicious packages showing up to the address that Breonna Taylor was living in. Later, a postal inspector said that never happened. No one ever said that. So there will be a grand jury hearing to see if there will be any criminal charges against any of the cops involved. Right now, no charges have been filed, and only one of the cops has been fired from his job.
Yeah, so the number is a good number, so that's good news. It's a big number, especially within the context that Anna just explained. But of course, I care more about the systemic change, and so I'm glad that they've at least begun to go in that direction, and that this lawsuit helped to push them in that direction. Because if lawsuits just wind up getting money from one set of people to another set of people, they're not that interesting. But if it turns out they lead to real change and progress, which is what happens a lot, and it seems to have happened in this case, then they're gold, and they're really important for all of society, not just Breonna Taylor's family, which deserves justice, of course. And so I'm thrilled to see that they're going in that direction. Of course, I always want more reform. And one of the things that I continually get frustrated about in this story is we just keep talking about the 3 cops who were there, but how about the person who sent them in? So who within the police department told them to go do a no-knock warrant on this residence after they'd already gotten the suspect 10 miles away? And then guys, the part that's really trippy is the gentrification part. So I'm a little worried that they agreed to this settlement so that they could not talk about that issue. And that's, when you don't adjudicate things and you don't go to court, we're not gonna get to find out more about that. I have to be honest, in the past, it would have been like, really, you're gonna go do no-knock warrants where people can get hurt or killed based on some gentrification plan? It sounds a bit much, right? But here we are with now allegations that some sheriff's office within the LA County have a gang called the Executioners who the allegations say execute people to get a tattoo and to become part of the gang, execute like citizens. And ICE is apparently doing hysterectomies of immigrant women. That's in the news today. We're gonna talk about it later. So is it possible that they were going to clean out folks from neighborhoods that they wanted to increase the property values of, and so they did target black people? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I wish I did know, and I wish that got pursued more. But God, there are some awful things happening in this country. But Anna's right that at least today is a good day that we get a little bit of justice, and thank God for that.
Yeah, so there's a little bit more to the story that I want to share, including the possible reforms that come along with this settlement. But before I get to that, I do want to respond to something you said about the gentrification. Look, I totally agree with you, and I hope that organizers in the area who are familiar with what's going on the ground in Louisville, pay attention to this and investigate this for themselves, because it's an important issue, right? And I mean, we experience it in so many different parts of the country. In downtown LA, for instance, you'll have developers build luxury condominiums and apartment buildings like right next to Skid Row, and then wealthy people move in and they're like, what's up with all the homeless people here? What are we gonna do about it? Are we gonna kick them out? And it's like, so there is a problem with how some people think of policing in this country. They think of it as a way to just like get rid of the riffraff, right? So that's why I think we have these conflicting perceptions and views of what policing in America really looks like. So when it comes to the reforms, I just want to quickly mention that based on what I've seen so far, not very impressive. They talk about how they want to ensure that someone higher up the chain approves the warrants before the cops go to try to get it approved by a judge. It's kind of miraculous that that's now being brought up. Also, they wanna use some funding to hire a team of social workers. I actually think that would be very helpful, especially when it comes to cases of people who might be having some sort of mental health issue. And then finally, they agreed to drug and alcohol test cops involved in shootings. Wow. It's very robust, very robust. It's incredible. I'm being sarcastic in case and people can't tell, but yeah, I would like to see a lot more than that.
Yeah, and look, I know that it's never going to get resolved in this particular case, but the fact that cops have immunity from lawsuits makes it so that just the taxpayers pay the bill. It doesn't even come out of the police department, so they couldn't care less. Honestly, they're like, oh, well, we were, already getting awesome salaries and awesome benefits from the taxpayers, and we like to have fun and beat up people, sometimes illegally shoot them. Oh, you guys are gonna pay the bill, and we're never gonna be criminally liable? That's why there's out of control shootings. Believe me that if the cops were personally liable and they could lose money, they'd be a lot more careful about who they shoot. There's no question about that. And even if you don't want to make the cops personally responsible, oh, it's a tough job, you never know, you don't want them hesitating before shooting. Actually, I do. I really, really do. But you could at least say, hey, you know what? If there's a settlement like this $12 million one, it comes out of the police department. So watch yourself. But they'll never do that. And so that's why a lot of the reforms are piecemeal and mediocre. Things that would actually motivate them, like money, is never touched.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.